So this is going to be a short one. Hey everyone, today I'm talking about the land of the free, the origin really of the freedom of speech, naturally, and how it is possibly the most indoctrinated country that I have seen coverage of since I learnt about Japan and the USSR under Stalin in the 1950s. And okay, let's get the obvious out of the way. China and North Korea obviously are actual dictatorships, and they produce propaganda in the way that we are taught what propaganda is. Big plaques saying respect authority, big brother, etc. But I'm talking about the indoctrination of the freedom of speech and the indoctrination of the greatest country in the world and the indoctrination of the land of the free. I mean, that wire that gets like snapped in Americans' brains when someone like puts their foot on the Star-Spangled Banner, that's fucking insane. That is like some Winter Soldier bullshit, like something just clicks and they lose their mind. I mean, that is patriotism is the biggest influence of indoctrination in America, and it's insane. And I think patriotism indoctrination is the worst it can be in America. I'm not talking about Maoist or Stalinist propaganda. I'm talking about patriotism indoctrination. Like, obviously this sort of patriotic culture has been founded in other countries as well, even before America, in like places like Britain, God save the Queen. But I think it's by far the most noticeable and the most impactful in American society. But you know what, that honestly may be a byproduct of the fact that media all over the world, well, I don't know, I'm in South Africa, I'm just gonna say, in South Africa at least, the media I see is so Americanized that I know more about the American government at this point than I do about the South African. It's ridiculous. And as much as I'd like to say that that's more on my part, for not seeking out South African news sources, our news sources just aren't as reputable because, of the incredibly long and detailed history of colonialism and the effect it's had on Africa. But the point being that we only really have American and British news media to turn to in the quote-unquote trustworthy scene. And by trustworthy, I mean, getting actual facts right most of the time, not local news type of shit like international news like I don't know, BBC. I tend to lean towards thinking that they get factual statements correct. I don't know about their opinions. I don't read a shit ton of their articles. I more read the factual headings, but those seem to reflect what's actually happening quite objectively, obviously with a degree of bias as any news source would. And I'm no doubt I'm the last person to talk about this. Probably a lot of Americans themselves talk about this. But the more I see media coverage of it, as in like YouTube videos, videos on news websites, stuff like that, the more I see that, the more I realize how backwards it really is for both sides. And when I say that, I mean the left and the right in America. I've seen countless videos of people being shut down at school, valedictorians being shut down at school for trying to criticize the system, right? And, schools obviously still function under the impression that shutting down the valedictorian speech is a good image that will be put out if it's found out there. Then obviously there are the people who capitalize on top of that, like Jimmy Kimmel, who bring him on to let him finish his speech. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't give a fuck. Jimmy Kimmel wants to make money, and Jimmy Kimmel is making money through this kid whose speech got shut down because he started criticizing the system. And then it goes to the far other side, which is those who are, for lack of a better term, complete racist bigots or homophobic bigots or any kind of bigot really. They're immediately shut down anytime they open their mouths. And for some reason, 90% of people who interact with those kinds of people think that the best way of going about interacting with someone whose views are harmful and differ incredibly from theirs, think that the best way to go about it is to shout at them as if they are infants and can't handle a normal conversation. And in a lot of cases, they can't. But in all cases, I can promise you, no one is going to be convinced by your argument if you're condescending toward them. And I'm being a hypocrite, obviously. I'm the first one to point it out because I sometimes speak like that to people, and I regret it every time I do afterwards. Because in the heat of the moment, it's hard to stop, but it just gets funnier and funnier every time I see videos like that come up on YouTube from both sides of the spectrum. I'm not going to get into politics all that much at all, hopefully. But I want this channel to be a place where I talk about something when I think of it. And my God, I've just been seeing videos like that way too much. And I'm not saying that every other country in the world doesn't have its flaws, but for a country that is founded on these principles, it is hilarious how little 99% of the population actually abide to them. Anyway, I know I'm going to get some strong responses for this, but I just felt like putting my opinion out on that, even though I know it's likely been covered 1,000 times, but I haven't seen anyone directly point it out in my media feed for a while. And so I thought I'd put it out there myself as sort of a recommendation maybe for how you should interact with people. And I want to emphasize fully on this video that the proverbial door is obviously off the latch. Feel free to shit on me in the comments. Feel free to shit on each other in the comments. I want full-scale war down there. And if you want to email me about something, feel free to do that. And if you want to join the Discord, don't bring your politics with it. But you're welcome to do that too. I know it's ironic for me to say at the end of a video about politics, but fuck you, and that's it from me.